Yo, what's up, guys? It's your boy No Exes back with another video, and I'm scratching my head because my head is itching. Yes, it is itching. Subscribe or like it 10 seconds, or you will turn into Voldemort from Harry Potter, and he has no nose. He literally has no nose. So if you don't subscribe and like, you're turning into him. If you don't subscribe and like in the next 10 seconds, Bobby, Tommy, and Helen. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. If you didn't, you look like Voldemort now. Don't even bother looking in the mirror. So, today is part 2 of the Esther series. And
we're still on the beginning. We're going to begin with Esther today. Well, hello. Okay, so now we're going to complete our well, we're not going to complete it. We're just getting started with the study on the book of Ruth. Not the book of Ruth. For some reason I can't get Ruth out of my spirit. But after tonight, Ruth, okay, it's over. That chapter is over with. We're gonna begin with Esther today.
And if you hear a very intense controller clicks, that's me up in the other room playing Fortnite, and I am actually sweating. That's why I'm itching so much. I have a bump on my head, I think.
Okay.
I have a bump on my head. But it actually makes me feel like I'm from like one of those 1950 cartoons when they get hit on the head. 1950 cartoons.
Okay. Now, in the book of Esther, this chapter we're going to start on in the Bible, Esther. And I'm going to give you just a brief synopsis about the story, or summary, about the beginning of the book of Esther. First of all, the king in this chapter is Cyrus. Cyrus is king, and he's king in India, and from India all the way to Ethiopia, and he has 120 province, and his throne is in Shanshin is where his palace is. And his reign, he has been reigning for 3 years. And so after his 3 years, he said that he wanted to have a feast. And this feast is going to be to all the princes and also the servants, the princes and the servants. And now, before they started this feast, there still was another power that was in reign way before he was, which is in Persia and Media. Media was in power before Cyrus began to reign. And so now he is the one that's reigning now. And so after the third year, just as we said before, he threw a big shebang, a big feast for all the people that were in that city, the city in which he was reigning in. He just threw a feast from rich to poor, the great, the non-great. Everybody had could come to the feast. So this, in my study, and I found that this Cyrus was a very rich and wealthy king. He wasn't no lightweight. He was heavy ass and wealthy. Plenty of everything. And he was good to, I also found out that he was very good to the people. He was very good to the people that he reigned over. So he wasn't mediocre. He was a heavyweight, in ruling his kingdom. And his palace in Shanshu was so great. So in the Bible, it began to, when I was during the time I'm studying, and they showed the riches. Okay, so he opened up the city, opened up his palace, the palace, and let people just went into his palace, and they got a chance to see the riches and his glorious kingdom, and in all the honor and excellence of what it was, and his majesty. So this chapter just, practically blew my mind. I was just so in awe at all how wealthy and powerful Cyrus was. And so, just as I've said earlier, he opened his palace for the people to see. And so that's a sign of a really good king, to open his palace to the people. So he's all about the people. And he seemed to be a very good leader, in his leadership towards the people. And so during his reign, in the time in which he was reigning, he had a certain time set that he would, go ahead and have another humongous shebang. So this is after his reign expired. When his reign expired, the king made a feast. Now, he made this feast again for everyone. So he basically was a king that loved to entertain, to love the people, and just enjoyed life, enjoyed living, and here, and everybody was happy, and that says a lot. It also talked about the things that was there in the palace, that he had in his palace. He had colors of white and greens and blues hanging hanging up there on its walls, I can imagine, and had fine linen to tie them back, curtains or whatever whatever, and just everything fine. And then it had the purple linen. The linen was purple, and silver rings and pillows of marbles and beds of gold and of silver upon a pavement of red, blue, and white and black marble. Now we know how beautiful marble is, but this must have been some of the most expensive material that you want to lay your eyes, that the eyes could see. Everything was just so immaculately done. And he opened his palace up for the people to see, and that was 104 days of them just celebrating. They could go out of the palace to view his where he dwelled. That's a wonderful thing. And now, during the time of this celebration, of course, we know that they always had laws back then, and of how much you drank, what you could drink. Well, Osiris said, "Drink till your heart is content." Drink till your heart is content. That's what he told the people, his servants, and things. And the law could not bother them because the king has set this in order. He wanted all the people to just have fun and have a good time. Have a good time. So now we're getting on down here where Vashti, the things that I've come to learn in here is that Vashti had her own feast, and this feast she had for the princesses. So she threw a feast for the princesses also. And in that feast, they was able to celebrate and have a good time in the king palace also. In whatever area they was in the courts, so they could have a good time there in the courts, and his people that he was celebrating with was in the gardens. And so after now this what I could not, that was really kind of like I didn't really understand why. After 7 days, the king did not call Vashti the first day. The king was merry and had his heart. He was so merry and had a good heart. Just everything was just exciting. He waited 7 days to call Vashti and ask if she would come to the court. Come up there to see what he wanted. And her thing was, I don't feel like coming up there, so I'm not coming, king. And she did not come. She rejected it. She rejected it. And just as I said earlier in the other, I don't know what had come over her or anything, and a man of this caliber, and these many people that is under him, and the chamberlains. He had 7 chamberlains, and the chamberlains are the ones that went to let her know that the king wanted to bring her to the courts, so that the people could see her beauty. Now, ladies, which of us would be upset about that? Would we really? You know, I mean, because it's obvious that he adores her. He adores her because she's a beautiful woman, and he wants to show her off and put her, let the people see her. See, Osiris has done his job. He's had a big old feast and a festival for the people and got them all merry at heart and thing. And the last thing that he was going to present to his people is his queen. Is his queen. And how many of how many queens would have said, "Oh no, I'm not. No, I can't. Not today. Not today." That wasn't to be heard of in the game because it made the king look bad. Back in we could say it in the day, but back in the we said look bad, but back in the day, I mean, she probably was about they was probably hey, oh, she's rejected the everything the king. There's no telling what they I'm gonna read it. I have to read a little bit further to continue to find out what is the next move of the people and concerning Vashti. I don't know why she would put herself in such a awful way. That's not good. That's not good. And so later on in the next lesson, we'll find out just how or what the king decided to do. So make sure you subscribe, press like, and join this family. Until then, let's keep our books open, study, and see what's the next lesson will be about. Y'all have a wonderful day. And your girl, Charlene.